Oh, and while you're at the gala, avoid the canapes. They're frozen, not fresh.
Today, on Starfield Essentials, I share my reaction to playing 3 different sides of the Crimson Fleet quest. Even without playing the third side, which is offered as an awesome free mod, I think the Crimson Fleet quest might be my favorite in the original game. I'll explain how I came to this conclusion and how to get the most out of this adventure. I'll avoid spoilers where possible, but warn you if I'm sharing anything that might concern you. I'll cover the following: context. The first option, rebellion. The second option, romance. The third option, righteousness. The best faction side quest in the vanilla game, Lieutenant Toft and Jessamine. The Jade Swan collectible grind. And conclusion. My name is Richard. Let's get started. Context. The Crimson Fleet is one of 4 faction quests in the vanilla game. It consists of 7 primary quests: Deep Cover, Rook Meets King, Echoes of the Past, Breaking the Bank, The Best There Is, Absolute Power, and Eye of the Storm. And an 8th quest that differs depending on whether you side with the Crimson Fleet or with UC Sysdef: Legacy's End, Crimson Fleet, Legacy's End, Sysdef. There's a 9th quest called Burden of Proof that runs parallel to the main quests. This turned out to be one of my favorite aspects of the entire experience. I'll say more about it soon. There are 2 other side quests, Doctor's Orders and Reclaiming the Past, that the player can perform on behalf of the Key's Doctor and Bartender respectively. The primary Crimson Fleet quest begins with the player being taken into custody by UC Sysdef. This is a military wing of the United Colonies tasked with dismantling the Crimson Fleet pirate group. The arrest can be the result of something as simple as punching an NPC, or stealing a minor item, or even doing nothing at all.
I've got special orders. You're coming with me. Stand down and prepare for immediate transport to our vessel.
How the player handles this scenario shapes all of what happens next. The first option, rebellion. I'm just going to say it. I don't like my character doing nothing wrong, getting arrested, and then being extorted into working for UC Sysdef.
I hope you're comfortable. We have a lot to discuss.
The first time I played this quest, I was so angry with Commander Akande that I told him to leave me alone. I then sought out the Crimson Fleet and joined via a contact at Cydonia. I spent the entire quest working for the fleet and eventually wiped out UC Sysdef. This was satisfying, but as it turned out, I missed a lot of content by taking this path. What I did see was enjoyable. I particularly liked working with all of the Crimson Fleet pirates I had encountered during the quest lines. Seeing them all fighting to seize the UC Vigilance in the final part of the game was an experience I haven't seen in other Starfield quests. I got a real sense of teamwork, although working for a pirate was probably not the most ethical choice. The second option, romance. The second time I played this quest, I modified my approach to explicitly take advantage of what might be the best free quest mod in Starfield. That's Legacy's End Wildcard by Flipping Eggs, available free on Creations, and Nexus Mods. I also made choices that enabled maximum use of Flipping Egg's other amazing enhancement to the Crimson Fleet quest, a mod called Estelle Vincent Companion and Romance. It's also available free on Creations and Nexus Mods. Note there is a variation called Estelle Vincent Companion, Personal Quest, and Alternate Recruitment, also free on Creations. My video, New Crimson Fleet Quest and Romanceable Companion Estelle Vincent, explains exactly how all these work together. Basically, you can either work for the fleet or UC Sysdef, but then betray both and take the treasures for yourself. After playing those 2 options, that left me with one other possibility.
What do you say? Smart choice. I'm going to have one of my men escort you to the operations center. I strongly suggest that you don't give him any trouble.
The third option, righteousness. My third and most recent playthrough of this quest was entirely unplanned, but I embraced the challenge. It was helpful for a freelance achievement, which I'll explain shortly. My character was confronted in space and interrogated by Akande. I didn't like it, but I chose to work for him. I wanted to see what it was like to be a spy for UC SysDef. Because I was working for the good guys, I did everything possible to avoid harming anyone when accomplishing the subsequent quests. As a player who likes to avoid combat when possible, I really enjoyed this challenge. I used stealth and persuasion and didn't eliminate any opposition unless it was a creature. After having been chewed out by Sarah for helping the fleet twice before, in this universe, it was really fun to hear her praise my character's actions.
Thanks for giving me a moment of your time. I promise this won't take long. I thought you deserved to know how proud I am that you chose to side with the United Colonies and put an end to the Crimson Fleet. You've almost single-handedly saved the settled systems from one of its most dangerous enemies. I can't possibly commend you highly enough. Well, I'm not sure I deserve that, but I appreciate it all the same. What I want to know is what motivated you into making the right decision. You had Crix's legacy in hand, and you could have easily taken it to the Key. Instead, you flew it to the Vigilance. Oh, well, I'm flattered that I have such a profound impact on your life choices, and you seem to know me quite well.
The best faction side quest in the vanilla game? What really pushed this experience into the S tier, however, for me, was the Burden of Proof side quest that ran parallel to the main quest. I'd completely avoided this in my previous 2 runs. Here, though, I diligently searched for evidence of pirate crimes and turned each slate over to Lieutenant Toft. That paid really well, with my character earning 4,500 credits per slate. What was even more satisfying, however, was seeing new faces added to the UC Vigilance brig after handing in evidence to Lieutenant Toft.
Anything new to report? Well done. Let's see what you found. We were aware that Miss LaRue was involved with Fergus Wickham. When her body was recovered, SysDef assumed he was the culprit. Sounds like we had it wrong.
Yes, sir. Understood, sir.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. I swear, this is all just a big misunderstanding. Oh, well, I just figured we got along so well back there in Sidonia. You might remember everything that I did for you and return the favor.
I didn't expect this gameplay loop to be so satisfying. The quest writers offered different motivations and reactions for each prisoner, true to their personalities and backgrounds. My only caveat is that acquiring all of the evidence to put them in jail is not a straightforward process. Some of the slates are built into the quests, but most require searching for them. I'll admit I used an online guide to locate and secure each piece of evidence. Doing so also enabled me to learn how to start the doctor's orders and reclaiming the past side quests. I'll link to the guide I used in the video description. Lieutenant Toft and Jessamine. Completing the Burden of Proof parallel quest requires handing slates to Lieutenant Toft. In my previous playthroughs, I didn't get a chance to interact with this, in my opinion, deep and interesting NPC. The process of delivering evidence slates does more than put criminals in the Vigilance brig. It also opens up Lieutenant Toft. As you gain her trust, she reveals more about her background.
You're not gonna let this go, are you? Why do you care so much about my past? Because the things you're asking are private, and we're supposed to be maintaining a professional rapport, not making friends. Look, I like to keep my attachments at a minimum, okay? In my line of work, if you make friends, you eventually end up losing them, either through reassignment or, well, for other reasons. You're right, I did. I suppose I'm hesitating because I'm not sure you'll like what I have to say. Would it shock you to learn that I spent some time in prison? I suppose that makes me a hypocrite.
After hearing her story, I'd love to see more from her as a recruitable NPC. I liked her story so much then I'm adding some of the interactions with her as a spoiler section at the end of the video. Although you can't recruit Lieutenant Toft as a companion, you can add a pirate, Jessamine, to your crew.
Hey Cap, you hiring? Got some baddies on my tail and I need a place to lay low. I suppose I can't rightly blame you for that. It's the Varun Zealots. Been on my tail a while. They're easy enough to avoid in places like this, but I'm history if they see my ship cruising around the space lanes again.
You'll find her in the key at the bar. I added her to my party, and she stayed with me through the end of the Crimson Fleet quest. I did keep her assigned to an outpost for most of the quest, because I wasn't sure how she would react if I took her to the UC Vigilance. Thankfully, she was still available as a companion after I beat down the Crimson Fleet.
You're a good negotiator, Cap. I'll cut you a deal.
The Jade Swan collectible grind. I can't create a video on the Crimson Fleet without mentioning that this quest offers a chance to grind some amazing loot. I'd read that the part of the quest involving Juan Dayu's ship, the Jade Swan, offers a chance to grind for loot, particularly hard to find collectible figures in the Free Lanes update. I am playing all the new Free Lanes content with a vanilla character, and I was not having luck finding more than a handful of figures. The basic grind is the following: enter the lodge, exit the lodge, repeat steps 1 and 2 as many times as you can. I did blocks of 100. Fast travel to the New Atlantis marker, close to where the Jade Swan is parked. Enter the Jade Swan, find the captain's locker, and take all the loot. Fast travel to the lodge, return to step 1. For each block of 100, I'd earn over 200,000 credits, a ton of gear, and a handful of collectibles. Using this method, I gathered 38 of 54 unique figures and dozens of duplicates. I topped out at 38, leaving 16 unfound. Thankfully, I took advantage of a second hack, which basically required me to do the following: enter the lodge and the player room, put all the figures in the player safe, save the game, exit the game, restart the game, load the last save, remove all the figures in the player safe, return to step 2 and repeat until the achievement unlocks. This worked for me. I also gathered enough credits, 3 or 4 million, and X-Tech, almost 800 pieces, to upgrade my weapons to my desired quality and attributes.
Then get comfortable. We leave for SY-920 immediately.
Conclusion. I enjoyed this latest Crimson Fleet quest run so much that I wanted to dedicate an entire video to it. I think it was brilliant to have essentially 2 quests in one, depending on whether the player chooses to assist or rebuff UC SysDev. What's really interesting is that the player can work for UC SysDev the whole time, but then betray them at the very end. Furthermore, if you add the incomparable mods by flipping eggs, you can play out an outstanding and extensive third option, and romance or befriend Estelle Vincent as a bonus. I know a lot of players consider the United Colonies faction quest to be their favorite, but for me, the Crimson Fleet is tops. Thank you Bethesda for this awesome quest, and flipping eggs for your mods. And thank you to all my subscribers. Please consider subscribing to show YouTube that you enjoy positive and honest Starfield content. In addition to videos, I also post to the community tab for this channel on a daily basis. If you subscribe, you'll see these posts in your YouTube feed. Special thanks to all channel members. I hope you're enjoying our private Discord server, early access to these videos, and our first members-only videos. Or I guess they're live streams. If you'd like to know more about membership, click the join button on the channel. I use your contributions to pay for drives for capturing footage and to buy creations to review. If you made it to this part of the video, please leave a comment with the word legacy. Check out my other videos, and please tell your friends about the channel. I'd like to finish by including some of my favorite footage of Lieutenant Toft explaining her background. Great job, Bethesda quest writers. My name is Richard. I will see you in the Starfield.
Would it shock you to learn that I spent some time in prison? I suppose that makes me a hypocrite. Oh, come on. I haven't exactly been cordial about my feelings towards the Crimson Fleet's illegal activities. Oh, does it now? Was I giving off some kind of ex-con sort of vibe? Well, give me a chance to explain. I grew up in the Well in New Atlantis. Parents made barely enough money to keep the lights on in our apartment. After I dropped out of school, they begged for me to look for work. But I realized it was a lot easier to simply take whatever I wanted instead. A year after that, I'm a career criminal with UC security breathing down my neck, and my parents kicking me out of the house. Hell no. I made enough money to buy my own apartment. Filled it with some decent stuff, too. I'd even send pictures of the place to my folks to rub it in. I was a real asshole. Well, I wasn't a nice person. That's just it, though. I was having the time of my life, earning way more than I needed to simply get by and loving every minute of it. Back then, if you would have told me one day I'd be wearing this uniform, I'd have said you were out of your mind. Very funny. And not even relatively close. Let's just say the years after my time in the Well were filled with highs and lows. Look, the point is that I felt you deserved to know a bit about my past. To know where my anger towards the fleet comes from. Yeah, I think I've told you more than enough. Besides, my job here is to keep an eye on you, not the other way around. You're welcome. Well, I think you've had enough for now. You get the point. Let's get back to it before Keyboy writes us a citation for loitering. Any other fragments? Okay, fine. I know there's more out there, so keep on it. Yeah. I figured it was only a matter of time before this came up. The reason I didn't bring up the Crimson Fleet is, well, I was one of them. It's something I'm not exactly proud of. He knows quite a bit about my journey. But I'd appreciate it if you didn't mention this conversation to him. I know a great deal about how they operate, what frequencies they use, their encryption techniques, their methods. So, in short, yes. Common ground, but not a common beginning. I was recruited out of New Atlantis by Neva Mora. She said I was making a name for myself, and it caught the fleet's attention. I was thrilled. It was a chance at bigger and better scores and gave me a ticket off-world. Why the heck would I say no? I raised hell on New Atlantis until someone stood up and took notice. And just like Adler Kemp stuck his neck out and vouched for you, someone else in the fleet did the same thing for me. In fact, it was my idea to send you to Sidonia for your first, well, I suppose you call it a mission. Of course she did. How else would you get an aspiring criminal to blindly follow you into a life of interstellar crime? They took me in. Delgado ran me through the paces on Suvorov, and before I knew it, I was part of the team. Now I was making some serious money. That apartment I boasted about in New Atlantis became a joke. I even made enough to buy my own ship. Well, it's a giant ice ball, so I froze my behind off. We spent a while exploring the surface while Delgado laid out his spiel about honor among thieves and all that nonsense. I suppose he thought it would be some kind of twisted team-building exercise, except several people lost their lives. Oh, it dropped. Hard. Everything changed thanks to Commander Akande. The man basically saved my life. I owe him everything. If I've learned one thing about the Commander, it's that he cares deeply about everyone under his command. Look, I've already said too much. I promised Commander Akande I wouldn't talk to anyone about this. All you need to take away is that I've literally walked a mile in your shoes, and I appreciate the risks that you're taking. Carry through with this mission. I promise you I'll be there every step of the way. Understood. Keep searching and you're bound to find more. I suppose. Though the Commander won't be thrilled that I told you, so keep it to yourself. So, when I was running with the Crimson Fleet, I put together a hell of a crew. 6 of the toughest pirates I could find. On the record, it's against regulations. My personnel profile is private, and you need the proper authorization to access the file. Off the record, Commander Akande isn't exactly popular at Mast for the way he runs his operation, so he likes to keep these things quiet. The fact that an ex-pirate is second in command to SysDef's pride and joy wouldn't inspire waves of confidence from his superiors. But even though my share of the salvage was smaller, I had one of the most efficient ships in the fleet. More efficient ship meant more lucrative jobs. I was trying to be smart and play the long game. My first mate was Arya Fikes, the toughest of the bunch. The only problem was that she had a hell of a temper. The smallest things could just set her off, and believe me, she took a while to cool down. Honestly, she was so overbearing she kind of fell into the role on her own. I didn't even make it official for months. Despite her temper, she always had my back and helped me keep the rest of the crew in line. Of course, it also helped that she was the best pilot in the fleet. She flew rings around what SysDef was throwing at us back then. In some ways, I suppose we all can. But for Arya, she definitely lost her temper much too often. Anyway, there was this one particular incident where we had a hot tip on a freighter supposedly running heavy with ore. The second we dropped out of grav space, we knew it was a trap. We'd been set up, and the UC was waiting for us. Somehow we managed to take out all of their attack ships. I grabbed Arya and we boarded the freighter. Well, it showed up on Shinya Voss's mission board, which means it could have come from anywhere. I don't know what he's like now, but back then, all of his missions were pretty solid leads with good pay. We were being arrogant. There was nothing stylish about it. We fought our way to the bridge and the crew surrendered. That's when the Vigilance arrived. I watched it vaporize my ship and crew in seconds. Commander Akande radioed over for us to give up, turn ourselves in. Arya went wild. Said she'd start executing crew if they didn't let us leave. The commander tried to talk some sense into her, but she was too far gone. I knew right then she'd rather die than surrender. Even as a pirate, I had my limits. I'd never shoot someone that was unarmed and couldn't fight back. As long as they surrendered and gave up the goods, there was no need for them to die. None at all. We were marooned on that freighter. No ship, no escape shuttles, and no chance of rescue. You can't even imagine. Commander Akande promised to be lenient if we let the crew go. When we didn't reply, he sent over a ship to board us. I saw Arya put her gun to one of the hostages' heads, and saw that look in her eye. I could actually see her squeezing the trigger. Next thing I knew, a shot rang out. I'll never forget that look on Arya's face as she fell to the ground with the wound in her chest. Looked down at the gun in my hand like it belonged to someone else. I still don't know why I did it. That's what I keep telling myself. I hope to God we're both right. Long story short, I spent a year in jail, then Keebway recruited me. I guess he saw something in me, a desire to turn my life around. I busted my ass to get where I am today. First mate of the Vigilance. Ironic I'd end up in Arya's position, don't you think? It took a while, and a lot of reflection, but I know we made the right choice. Had I continued down the road I was traveling back then, we wouldn't be speaking right now. I owe everything to Commander Akande for giving me a second chance. Nice work. According to my superiors at MAST, we've provided them enough data to wrap up this portion of the operation and call it a success. You've brought us a mountain of evidence against the Crimson Fleet and uncovered some unexpected criminal activity. You've done a hell of a job. Oh yeah, without a doubt. The brig is filled with prisoners waiting for trial. We've drained the Crimson Fleet's credits and solved a few mysteries along the way. I'd say that qualifies as making a difference. Oh? Well, I see we've rubbed up on you more than I expected. Anyway, here. I wanted to give you this. It isn't from Commander Akande or the UC. It's from me. It was my sidearm when I ran with the Crimson Fleet. Something special I paid a hell of a lot of money for. Now it's yours. Not true. You gave me hope. That's the best present I could ever ask for. All right, enough of this mushy nonsense. Time to get back to work.
You have permission to speak freely.
That was real impressive flying, kid. You earned your wings today.
Thank you, sir. I was just trying to do my part.
A lot of heroes on this day. Speaking of which, here comes one now.
Good work taking out those pirates, Renegade. You know, I had my doubts about you. But then I asked myself, as spectacular as I am, can I do what you do? And the answer was an emphatic no. See, I'm a great shooter, but a straight shooter. What we needed was someone standing on their side with a boomerang gun. Tell that to the pirates you shot in the face. Because if I didn't know any better, they thought you were pointing the gun at moi. Anyway, you got a date with the commander. I figure he'll sprain something trying to pin the medals on your chest. We sent those fleet pirates packing, didn't we? The commander will probably want me chasing down stragglers. We'll see. For now, I'd say we've... Stay frosty.
At ease, soldier. I believe congratulations are in order. With this decisive blow, the end of the Crimson Fleet is all but assured. But as much as I'd like to begin this celebration, on that note, Lieutenant, what...
Reports are coming in right now, Commander. Delgado and Shinya Voss have been taken into custody. Also, we've transferred personnel to the Key to secure the location until the United Colonies decides what they want to do with the station.
And what about Neva Mora?
According to our reports, Neva led the strike force that attacked the Vigilance. Unfortunately, that was the last we saw of her. It looks like she managed to escape. We don't know her current whereabouts, but I have our operations team looking into it.
That's fine. Overall, excellent news, Lieutenant. I have to admit, for the first time in 7 years, I don't know what to say. How about you? I know that was difficult. You hanging in there? You should be. What you've done to serve the UC in this short amount of time is more than most people could hope to do in their entire lives.
If Mast isn't already printing up a batch of recruitment posters with your face on them, they should be.
I've twisted arms and cashed in some favors at Mast. I wanted to make sure you got a share of the money you recovered from the legacy. Call it a reward, a token of appreciation, whatever the hell you want. But you've absolutely earned every credit.
While it was satisfying enough to watch the Crimson Fleet meet its end, having an account brimming with credits is a pleasant bonus.
Well, yes, I believe it did. But even if the money is ever returned to its rightful owner, and I believe it will, eventually, I'm sure they'd agree you deserve your share. Don't thank me yet. If it had been completely up to me, you'd get a lot more than they're giving you.
Now that you're rich and famous, maybe you'll still remember us little people, huh?
Decorum, Lieutenant? Damn, I'm going to be really sorry to see you go. You've really become an important part of our team. It won't be the same around here without you.
Although, if you feel like staying aboard, I'm sure I could give you access to the SysDef mission board. That is, if you can stand spending another minute with us on Vigilance.
Excellent. I'm happy we haven't somehow frightened you away. Anyway, enough talk. You've earned a break, and I'm sure you wish to celebrate. Here's your promised reward. And wherever you might find yourself, my best wishes travel with you.
The mission board should provide you with any intel on fleet activity.